You know, uh, you know that feeling? It is absolutely
Oh,
universal.
yeah, I know exactly where you're going with
The
this.
alarm goes off right, and it is pitch black outside.
Usually freezing cold, too, depending on the time of year.
Exactly. And your bed, it is not just a piece of furniture anymore.
No, it transforms.
It transforms into this warm magnetic force field,
Yeah.
and it is actively refusing to let you go.
The gravity of the mattress. I mean, it is a physical force. We
Yeah.
have all been there.
It is holding you hostage with comfort. So what do? You hit snooze.
Just once. Or maybe twice.
Right, maybe twice. Then you finally grab your phone. One eye is glued shut.
Oh, the classic one-eye squint.
Yep. The blue light hits your retina like a laser beam, and you just start doom scrolling.
News, Instagram, emails, you name it.
And then 20 minutes later, you actually put your feet on the floor, but you are already rushing.
Your heart rate is up.
You are anxious. You feel like you are behind schedule before you have even brushed your teeth.
I mean, that is the standard operating procedure for the modern morning.
It really is.
It is this frantic race against the clock where we usually start with a deficit.
Yeah.
We are reacting to the day rather than creating it.
We are on the defensive from minute one.
Exactly.
It feels like the day owns us rather than us owning the day. But today, we are flipping that script entirely.
Completely upside down.
We are looking at a stack of research that suggests there is a way to not just sort of manage your morning, but to genuinely win it.
And we should be clear right off the bat here.
Yeah, go ahead.
We are not talking about drinking kale smoothies or doing high-intensity interval training at 4 in the morning.
Though, I mean, if you do that, more power to you.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, but that is not the secret sauce we are analyzing today.
No, we are looking at something much older, a system that has been practiced for over 1,400 years.
This is such a fascinating deep dive.
It is. We are exploring the intersection of ancient Islamic rituals, specifically the pre-dawn prayer known as Fajr,
Right?
the practice of Adhkar, or remembrance, and sleep etiquette. And we are going to see how they stack up against modern productivity science.
It is a really interesting juxtaposition because we usually keep these things in separate boxes.
Totally isolated.
Right, like science goes here and spirituality goes over there.
But today, we are mashing them up.
To see if the ancient mystics knew something about neurobiology that we're honestly just catching up to.
And we have quite the source stack to do it.
We really do.
We are pulling from a 2025 scientific study published in the Nasuka Journal of the Humanities regarding sleep habits.
Which is a brilliant study, by the way.
Oh, it is incredible. We have got transcripts from productivity experts like Mohammed Faris. He is the author of The Productive Muslim.
A staple in this space.
Absolutely. We have spiritual lectures from channels like Aya Pulse and Masjid Al-Falah. And we have these detailed guides on these specific mantras called Adhkar.
And our mission for this deep dive is really to decode this entire lifestyle.
Right. What is the actual goal here?
We want to understand why these practices were established and, crucially, what they actually do to the human brain and soul.
Because whether you are deeply religious or spiritual or, frankly, just a productivity geek looking for an edge.
Which a lot of people are.
Exactly. This isn't just about religious obligation. What we found in these documents is a blueprint for a holistic lifestyle design.
It is a massive clash between two major philosophies.
Two cultures.
Right. On one side, you have what one source calls Barakah culture, and on the other side, you have the modern hustle culture.
That distinction is so vital for you listening to understand.
Hustle culture is all about squeezing every single drop of output from yourself until you literally burn out.
It is that input-output machine logic.
The whole sleep when you were dead mentality.
Exactly. But the sources we are looking at today propose a completely different metric.
Aligning your biological rhythms with spiritual intent.
To foster what they call a prosperous life.
Not just a busy one.
Right, a prosperous one. There is a huge difference. So let's jump right into the deep end. We got to talk about the early morning.
The absolute foundation.
In the self-help world, you hear about the 5 a.m. club constantly.
Oh yeah, Robin Sharma, Hal Elrod, they all talk about it.
It is almost a status symbol now to say you wake up early. You see the LinkedIn posts.
The humble brags.
Exactly, the humble brags. But the sources point out that this concept of Bakur, or the early hours, was established way before the bestseller list.
It was. And it is very distinct from the 5 a.m. club.
How so?
Well, the 5 a.m. club is often about getting ahead of the competition. It is about productivity capital, like I work while you sleep.
Right, it is highly competitive.
But the concept of Bakur comes from a specific supplication, or dua, from the Prophet Muhammad.
And what was that?
He said, "O Allah, bless my nation in their early mornings."
Bless my nation in the early mornings. That is a very specific framing,
Right, so the framing isn't, I wake up early to crush my enemies.
which is refreshing.
It is, I wake up early because this specific time slot has a spiritual charge to it. It is a time of blessing or barakah.
The idea is that time itself has different qualities.
Exactly. The time between dawn and sunrise isn't just regular time.
It is premium time.
Premium time, yes.
And to really illustrate this mindset, there is this incredible anecdote from the source material about the Golden Generation.
The companions of the prophet.
Right. And it involves three heavy hitters, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman ibn Affan.
These are names that carry immense weight in history.
Massive weight. And this story creates such a vivid picture of their psychology.
So the story goes that Umar passes by Uthman. Now, for context, these men are close.
They are the leaders of the community.
They are brothers in arms. So
Yeah.
Uthman is sitting there quietly, deep in thought.
Right.
Umar gives him the salam, the greeting of peace.
And Uthman doesn't reply,
He doesn't even look up.
which in that culture is a bit of a snub, isn't it?
Oh, it is a huge snub. Brotherhood was everything to them. Ignoring a salam is like refusing to shake someone's hand at a board meeting.
But probably even worse because it is a religious duty to return the greeting.
Exactly. So Umar is naturally hurt. He goes straight to Abu Bakr, who is the caliph, the leader at the time.
And he says, I passed by, Uthman greeted him, and he completely blanked me.
And I love Abu Bakr's reaction here.
Me too. He doesn't just say, oh, Uthman is probably just moody today, leave him alone.
Right, he immediately gets up and says, let's go to him.
They didn't let these things fester in their community. They addressed conflict instantly.
By emotional intelligence. So they go to Uthman, and Abu Bakr asks him about it.
And Uthman is shocked.
He looks at them, genuinely confused, and says, by Allah, he did not pass by me.
And Umar's standing right there, like, by Allah, I did.
So you have this tension. Is he gaslighting him? Is he losing his mind?
Then Uthman explains himself.
He says, I was drowned in a thought so heavy that I did not notice anyone passing by.
And this is the kicker. This is the whole point of the story. What was he thinking about?
Was he thinking about his business? His stocks?
The market rates in Medina? Was he worrying about politics?
No. He said he was thinking about a question he never got to ask the prophet before he passed away.
And the question was, what is the one action that will save a person on the day of judgment?
That is the golden generation mindset right there.
Their mornings weren't consumed with the trivialities of the day. They weren't checking emails or notifications.
Worrying about what to wear or who liked their post.
They were consumed with big picture thinking. Salvation, eternity.
The ultimate fate of the soul.
And Abu Bakr, being the wise leader, actually answers the question for him, recalling that the key is the declaration of faith.
But the point for us in this deep dive is the level of focus.
That state of flow Uthman was in.
That deep, impenetrable concentration. That is what the early morning is for. Deep work and deep contemplation.
It sets the bar incredibly high. It makes checking Twitter first thing in the morning look pretty silly by comparison.
It really does.
But let's get into the mechanics of this morning routine.
Yeah.
Because the sources talk about the spiritual mechanics of Fajr, the dawn prayer.
Yeah, there is this fascinating imagery of a shift change involving angels.
I want to ask you to unpack that.
So this comes from the interpretation of Quran chapter 17, verse 78. The sources explain that there are angels assigned to the night and angels assigned to the day.
They aren't the same crew.
No, they're different shifts. And the time of Fajr dawn is the handover period.
Like a changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, but celestial.
Precisely. And the source mentions that when the night angels ascend to report to God, because the idea is they report on the state of the humans they were watching.
Right. They testify.
They testify. And for the person praying Fajr, they testify saying, we left them while they were praying.
Wow.
And the day angels descend and start their shift, seeing that same person praying.
That is a very comforting thought, having a shift, change of guardians while you are connecting with the divine.
It frames the morning not as a chore, but as an appointment.
You want to be found at your post.
Exactly.
But there is also a more combative element to the morning described in the sources. We have to talk about the knots.
Ah, yes, the 3 knots. This is fascinating imagery. And I think anyone listening will relate to the feeling of this, even if the metaphysics are totally new to them. The source material references a specific hadith stating that during sleep, Satan ties 3 knots at the back of the head.
3 literal knots.
Spiritual knots. And at each knot, he whispers a specific phrase. He says, the night is long, so keep on sleeping.
Oh, wow. That explains so much. That voice in your head that says, just 5 more minutes, it's so cozy you need the rest.
You worked so hard yesterday.
Right? That is the not talking.
Metaphorically and spiritually, yes. It is a spiritual sedation, an incantation of lethargy.
But the remedy provided is very specific.
It is a three-step process to untie them, almost like unlocking a safe or a combination lock.
Walk us through the combination. How do we break the spell?
Okay, step one, you wake up and mention Allah. You say a prayer of gratitude for waking up.
And that unties the first knot.
Exactly. Step two, you perform wudu, the ritual washing.
And that unties the second knot.
Right, and then step three, you pray. That unties the third.
And the source says the result is waking up lively and in good spirits.
Versus low spirits and lethargic. It is basically a spiritual prescription for sleep inertia.
You are physically and spiritually breaking the state of sleep.
Because if you only do one, say you wake up but don't wash, you are still partially tied down.
Or if you wash but don't pray, you haven't completed the sequence.
You haven't fully unlocked the safe.
That leads perfectly into the prophetic morning formula outlined in the Ayah Pulse source.
Yes, and it is not just wake up and pray.
It is a 6-step sequence. And I think this is the practical how-to for you guys listening who want to actually try this.
It reads almost like a biohacking protocol.
It really does. It is a very structured routine. Let's break down the protocol step by step.
Okay, step one is waking up before Fajr, specifically for Tahajjud.
Which is about 30 minutes before dawn.
Yes. This is that quiet solitude time we talked about with Ithman.
The world is asleep. It is just you.
Right. Then step two is wudu, washing away the sleep and symbolically the sins.
We will get into the science of the cold water in a minute, but spiritually, it is a purification ritual.
Correct. Then step three is to pray at least 2 rakas, or units of prayer.
This is the voluntary night prayer.
It is very intimate. It is not obligatory, which is what makes it more special.
Okay, and step 4 is crucial, istighfar, which means seeking forgiveness.
Right. And why is seeking forgiveness placed right before dawn?
That is a great question.
The source highlights that pre-dawn moment as a time of immense vulnerability and connection,
It is considered the time when God is closest to the lowest heaven.
asking who is seeking forgiveness that I may forgive him.
It is a cleanup of the soul before the day even begins.
You are literally wiping the slate clean.
Then step 5 is the big one, the Fajr prayer itself. The source calls it the covenant prayer.
This is the mandatory start to the day.
And finally, step 6.
Sitting for morning Adhkar until sunrise. One source calls this the spiritual breakfast.
Spiritual breakfast, I like that.
Just as you wouldn't start a marathon without fuel, you don't start the day without this spiritual grounding.
It involves recitation, contemplation, and setting intentions.
And the rewards mentioned for this entire process are pretty staggering.
They really are. The sources say the 2 optional units of prayer before the main Fajr prayer are, quote, better than the world and everything in it.
That statement is meant to recalibrate your entire value system.
Think about that for a second. We chase wealth, status, possessions, real estate, crypto.
The world and everything in it.
But this practice, done in 5 minutes before the sun comes up, is valued higher than all of that.
If you truly internalize that, the stress of the rat race just diminishes.
You have already secured the biggest bag of the day, so to speak.
I love that phrasing. You really have.
It recontextualizes the whole day. If the afternoon meeting goes bad, well, you already won the morning.
You are playing with house money at that point.
Exactly. But let's pivot a bit here. We have talked a lot about the spiritual side, but we have this fascinating study from the Nasuka Journal of the Humanities.
Published in June 2025.
Right, so this deep dive isn't just about theology, it is deeply about biology.
This is where it gets really interesting for the skeptics or the scientifically minded listeners.
So this study involved 159 female students at Al-Quora University.
And the researchers wanted to test a very specific hypothesis.
Does adherence to Islamic sleep habits actually improve cognitive performance?
And they weren't just asking them, hey, do you feel better today?
No, they were testing memory focus and perceptual speed using standardized clinical tests.
They used the Rebus test for perceptual speed and the digit span test for working memory.
This was strictly data-driven.
They divided the students into groups based on how closely they followed the prophetic sleep regimen.
And the findings were significant.
Very significant. The students who followed the regimen showed marked improvement in mental clarity, emotional balance, and overall energy levels.
Let's break down the specific habits they tested because some of these are quite specific.
Okay, let's do it.
First up, udur before bed. We usually think of washing up as a morning thing or a pre-prayer thing.
Right.
Why before bed?
The study highlights two aspects here. One is purely physical.
Cleanliness reducing microbial infections, which is pretty straightforward.
You are washing off the grime of the day. But the more interesting one is psychological.
How so?
It is part of sleep hygiene. The ritual of washing specific body parts, your hands, face, feet, with cool water induces a state of relaxation.
It is a thermal trigger, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We know from modern sleep science that your core body temperature actually needs to drop to initiate sleep.
And washing the extremities with water aids in that thermoregulation.
It signals to the parasympathetic nervous system that the day is done,
It is a transition ritual. It tells the brain safety, cleanliness, rest.
like a Pavlovian response. You wash and your brain starts releasing melatonin.
Okay, what about the sleeping position? The sources emphasize sleeping on the right side.
This is a really big one in the Sunnah or the practice of the Prophet.
He encouraged sleeping on the right side and placing the right hand under the cheek.
Yes, and the scientific correlation drawn in this study suggests that sleeping on the right side puts significantly less pressure on the heart compared to the left side.
Because the heart is positioned slightly to the left.
Roughly speaking, yes. The theory cited is that when you lie on your left, the stomach and other organs press against the heart.
So the heart has to pump against gravity to circulate blood.
Exactly. But by sleeping on the right, the heart is in a more superior position, unburdened by the weight of the liver or the stomach.
That makes a lot of anatomical sense.
The study also mentions benefits for digestion and spinal alignment.
And the study explicitly discourages stomach leaking right.
Yes, and links it directly to spine and neck strain.
It is interesting how a practice recommended over a millennium ago aligns perfectly with modern orthopedic advice regarding neutral spine positioning.
Because stomach sleeping forces your neck into a 90-degree twist, which is just terrible for your cervical spine.
Not to mention it compresses the chest, making your breathing much shallower. There is one practice here that I found really unique. Dusting the bed.
Yes.
The Prophet advised dusting the bed 3 times before getting in.
It sounds almost like a superstition or a quirk until you actually look at the hygiene aspect.
The study notes this reduces allergens and dust mites.
Because we shed skin cells all day and dust settles.
A quick dusting creates a physically healthier sleep environment.
It is so simple, but so effective. And it also serves as a psychological clearing of the space.
It marks the territory for sleep. And then we have the Qailula, the power nap.
But not just any nap. The timing here is absolute key.
Right. The Qailula is specifically a midday nap, typically after the Dur prayer.
The study sharply contrasts this with sleeping after Asr, or late in the afternoon.
Yeah, sleeping late in the afternoon usually leaves you feeling groggy like an absolute zombie.
We have all done the accidentally fell asleep at 5 p.m. and woke up at 7 p.m. not knowing what year it is nap.
It is the worst feeling.
That is sleep inertia hitting you hard because you are likely dropping into deep sleep way too close to your night cycle.
But the Qailula is described as just a 20 to 30-minute pause.
And scientifically, we know this boosts memory consolidation and emotional regulation.
Without wrecking your circadian rhythm for the night.
It is a system reset. It splits the day into 2 highly productive halves.
Speaking of circadian rhythms, the sources make a really strong case for aligning your life with the sun.
Darkness is for sleep. Daylight is for work.
It seems so obvious, but we have totally broken this with artificial light.
We have. We live in an eternal noon thanks to LEDs and phone screens.
The source actually warns against workism and irregular sleep patterns.
Because aligning with Fajr means you are waking up right as cortisol naturally peaks in the body.
Cortisol is the stress and alertness hormone, right?
Yes, so you are riding the biological wave rather than fighting against it by sleeping until 9 a.m.
You are syncing your internal clock with the external world.
It is incredibly holistic. It is not just pray this prayer. It is live this way so your body functions at its absolute peak.
Which naturally brings us to the broader cultural conflict the sources discuss.
The Raqqa culture versus hustle culture.
This is really the philosophical core of the entire episode.
It is.
I love this comparison. Let's define the terms. We all know hustle culture.
It is the grind set, team no sleep.
Output over input at all costs.
It is highly egocentric and materialistic. The source from the Halal Money Matters podcast describes it as a constant what's next mentality.
You hit 1 million, you want 10.
You get the promotion, you want the next one immediately.
It is a treadmill that literally never stops. And it is incredibly burnout prone.
because it assumes that you are the sole generator of your success. It all rests on your shoulders.
Versus Barakah culture. How do the sources actually define Barakah? Because it is a word that is kind of hard to translate into English directly.
The definition provided in the sources is quite beautiful, actually. It comes from Imam Raqib Isfahani.
What does he say?
He defines barakah as the attachment of divine goodness to a thing.
The attachment of divine goodness.
And the formula goes like this. If that goodness enters something little, it increases it.
Okay.
If it enters something abundant, it increases the actual benefit of it.
It explains the unexplainable growth or stability in someone's life.
It is the secret sauce that makes 24 hours feel like 48.
Or makes a very modest salary cover all your needs with money somehow left over.
Exactly.
The source breaks this culture down into three main pillars: mindset, values, and rituals.
Let's look at them. The mindset is God-centric and hereafter-focused.
It is fundamentally an abundance mindset.
Right. If you believe God sustains everyone, you don't need to cutthroat compete with your colleague.
There is enough pie for everyone. You don't have to steal their slice.
Then the values are things like mercy, justice, and honesty, even when it hurts your bottom line in the short term.
And the rituals are the prayers, the charity, the fasting.
These aren't just religious acts. In this framework, they are literal generators of barakah.
We have to tell the Albaik story here. This is the absolute perfect example of Barakah in business.
It is a legendary case study.
For you listening who don't know, Albaik is basically the KFC of Saudi Arabia, but people are wildly obsessed with it.
The lines are miles long. People literally fly it across borders.
So Shakur Abu Ghazala founds Albaik.
And in the beginning, the business is actually losing money. It is not going well at all.
He is struggling to capture the market. He is stressed.
Standard startup struggles. Cash flow is negative.
But he does something that makes zero traditional business sense.
He decides to donate 1 rial, which is the currency there, to charity for every single chicken sold.
While he is losing money.
While he is actively losing money.
A modern business consultant would scream at him.
They would say, cut costs, don't increase your overhead. You are bleeding cash.
But he was operating on Barakah logic, not spreadsheet logic.
He fundamentally believed that giving charity opens the doors of sustenance.
And what actually happened?
Tragically, he passes away shortly after never seeing the massive success himself.
Wow.
But today, Albaik is an empire. It serves millions. It is a beloved brand.
And the source attributes that long-term continuity and explosive growth to that initial injection of Barakah.
It is the idea that the charity acted as a seed for growth that completely defied standard economics.
It proves that you can't measure everything on a spreadsheet. There is an unexplained phenomena factor in finances.
Exactly. The source mentions that paying off debt or giving charity mathematically decreases your money. 10 minus 1 is 9. That is basic math.
But in Barakah culture, 10 minus 1 might actually equal 15 in terms of purchasing power or stability.
Or the lack of random emergencies that drain your funds.
It is like maybe you have less raw cash in the bank, but your car doesn't randomly break down that month.
Or your health stays good, so you save thousands on medical bills.
Precisely. That is Barakah in action. It is invisible efficiency.
It is protection from loss that you never even see coming.
And there's also the story of Sakhr al-Ghamidi, the companion, who took the Prophet's prayer for the early hours very literally.
Yes, he was a trader, and he started sending his trade goods out right at dawn.
While everyone else was sleeping or just getting their coffee, his goods were already moving.
And he became massively wealthy because he aligned his economic activity with the spiritual prime time.
He didn't just pray in the morning, he worked in the morning.
He combined the spiritual ritual with the physical effort.
So we have got the morning routine, the sleep hygiene, the business mindset. Now let's talk about actual protection.
Section 4.
Yes, the sources call this the fortress. We are talking about morning and evening adhkar.
So adhkar is the plural of dhikr, which means remembrance.
And these are specific collections of supplications recited in 2 distinct windows, right?
Yes, between Fajr and sunrise, and then again between Asr and Maghrib in the evening.
One source uses a very intense metaphor here, the shield.
Quoting scholars like Ibn al-Qayyim, he describes adhkar as a literal coat of armor.
He says the thicker the shield, the more the owner's is protected.
He even goes as far as to say that if the shield is strong enough, the arrow shot at it might bounce back and hit the shooter.
That is some heavy, heavy imagery. It implies we are in a battle zone, spiritually speaking.
We are constantly exposed to unseen harms.
So what exactly makes up this shield? What are the specific ingredients of the odd?
The sources list several key components. First is Ayatul Kursi, the verse of the throne.
And that is cited for general protection from morning until evening.
It vividly describes God's absolute dominion over everything. It fundamentally grounds the reciter in the power of God.
Then you have the Muawwidhatayn, Surah Al-Falaq, and An-Nas.
These are specifically designed for protection against envy, the evil eye, and internal whispers or anxieties.
I found the declaration of trust really interesting too.
Allah is sufficient for me, recited 7 times.
The promise attached to that is that Allah handles all your concerns for that day.
Just think about the profound psychology of that. It is a massive offloading of mental load.
If you truly believe the creator of the universe is handling your concerns, imagine the stress reduction.
It is the ultimate anti-anxiety maneuver. You are delegating your deepest worries to the ultimate authority.
And looking at the list of what this actually protects against it is not just abstract evil spirits.
Not at all.
The source specifically lists anxiety, grief, laziness, procrastination, debt, stress, miserliness.
These are very modern, very real mental health and productivity struggles.
Precisely. We often treat anxiety or procrastination as purely chemical or behavioral issues.
And they absolutely are part of that. But the Adhkar approach suggests they are also spiritual vulnerabilities.
The fortress is about fortifying the mind and soul against these slow internal erosions.
It is basically cognitive behavioral therapy combined with theology.
Repeating deep truths until they become your psychological reality.
Exactly.
Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory. Win the morning, protect your mind, get Barakah in your money.
But
Let's be real for a second. It is hard.
it is incredibly hard.
Waking up before dawn every single day is hard. The source material from Maimonara acknowledges this head on.
It does. It states very clearly the hardest aspect of forming any healthy habit is sticking to it.
We all have that burst of motivation on January 1st, right? But by mid-February, we are right back to our old habits.
Consistency is the absolute killer of good intentions.
So how do we tackle consistency from this specific Islamic perspective?
The perspective on habit formation here aligns surprisingly well with modern behavioral psychology.
Like James Clear's Atomic Habits.
Very much like that, but with a completely different why.
Okay, explain that.
First, you have to identify the long-term gain. In secular habits, that might be getting six-pack abs or hitting a financial milestone.
But here the goal is Jannah paradise and ultimate peace of mind.
The stakes are infinitely higher.
And the advice on starting small is present there too.
Yes. There is a famous hadith, the most beloved of deeds to Allah are those that are most consistent, even if it is small.
That is the Atomic Habits Principle 101.
Don't try to pray for 2 hours every night if you can't even wake up for Fajr yet. Start with the absolute basics.
Don't overwhelm your central nervous system.
And if you miss a day, don't spiral into this toxic shame cycle. Just resume the next day.
Self-compassion is totally key.
It is.
I like the practical problem-solving tip in the sources. Move the alarm across the room.
Simple physical friction.
If you have to physically stand up and walk across the cold floor to turn it off, you have done the hardest part.
You have broken the initial sleep inertia. You are forcing your body to engage before your mind can talk you out of it.
There's a story in the source material that really perfectly illustrates this daily struggle and the mindset shift needed to overcome it.
The story of the woman at the wedding.
Yes, makeup and Salah.
This is such a great real-world example of the tension we all feel.
Set the scene for us.
Okay, so a woman is at a wedding. She's paid good money to get her makeup done professionally.
She looks great. She feels great.
It is a high-stakes social environment. Everyone is dressed to the nines.
But she realizes the time for the sprayer is slipping away, and she needs to make wudu.
And wudu involves washing the face with water, which ruins makeup.
Exactly. And she is at a wedding. The pressure to look flawless is at its absolute peak.
So she has this intense internal debate. If I wash it off, I wasted my money. I will look plain. People might actually judge me for looking undone.
The social pressure versus the spiritual obligation, it is a real conflict.
But then she remembers a specific verse. That which is by you will perish, and that which is by Allah is permanent.
Wow.
She realizes the makeup that complements the wedding itself, it is all temporary. It is basically dust.
But the prayer is permanent equity.
It is an asset that never, ever depreciates.
So she makes the hard choice. She washes it off.
She washes it off. She goes and prays on the grass outside.
And she describes feeling this incredibly deep contentment afterward.
The anxiety of how do I look was instantly replaced by the profound peace of I did the right thing.
And funny enough, when she went back inside, someone just offered her some makeup to reapply anyway.
It all worked out in the end. But that moment of agonizing decision, that is the Barakah culture winning over the image culture.
It connects perfectly to how we fundamentally define success.
The source explores the etymology of these words, and it is eye-opening.
The word for prayer is salah.
And the root of salah implies connection or following closely.
Like a horse following the lead horse in a race.
Exactly. You are staying as close as possible to the source,
And the word for success is falah.
which is actually in the daily call to prayer.
Right. Haya ala falah. Come to success.
But falah isn't just winning a trophy. It is linguistically related to the word for a farmer.
A farmer. That implies hard work.
It implies cultivation, daily work, immense patience, and eventually a harvest.
Success isn't a scratch-off lottery ticket. It is a deliberate harvest.
You plant the seeds, you water them daily, you wait.
And in this context, success is defined by taqwa, or God consciousness.
Establishing that daily unbreakable connection, not just accumulating material stuff.
So if we zoom out here, we have unpacked a lifestyle that is radically different from the modern norm.
Completely countercultural.
It starts well before dawn. It uses very specific words as a psychological and spiritual shield against modern anxieties.
It seamlessly aligns sleep habits with human biology.
And it completely redefines success from hustle to barakah.
It is a deeply holistic system. It is not a random checklist of chores.
It is a cohesive framework for living a life that is actively protected, productive, and peaceful.
It turns the mundane, everyday things, sleeping, washing, waking up, into profound acts of worship and health.
It makes every single moment count.
It really does.
And as we wrap up today, I want to leave you listening with a thought from the source material that really stuck with me long after I read it.
It is a powerful closing thought.
We chase richness constantly in our culture. We want the full bank account, the full garage, the millions of followers.
But the prophet said, true richness is not having many possessions.
True richness is contentment of the soul. Nafs.
Contentment of the soul.
That is something you literally cannot buy on Amazon.
And you cannot hustle your way to it either, no matter how hard you grind.
It is a natural byproduct of that daily connection we have been talking about.
It is the quiet, lasting feeling of enough.
So here is the challenge for you as you go about your week. We are calling it the Deep Dive Challenge.
You don't have to change everything all at once today.
Just try the prophetic morning formula, or even just the basic sleep hygiene tips for 90 days.
See what actually happens to your focus at work. See what happens to your baseline stress levels.
Because as the source says, whoever wins their morning wins their life.
I couldn't agree more.
That is it for this deep dive. Go win your morning. We will see you in the next one.
Take care, everyone.